人の心配してる場合じゃないよ、虎杖裕二。君の秘匿死刑が決定した。
Hey, what's up everyone? It's here today and I just want to talk about one of my favorite anime from last year called Jujutsu Kaisen. If you paid any attention to the anime scene at all in the last year, you've definitely heard of it before. Won Crunchyroll Anime of the Year award, the manga tops the sales charts. JJK has become one of the most popular franchises in recent years that everyone has had to have heard of at least once. If you hadn't, here's a quick summary of the story so far. In order to save his friends and uphold his grandfather's dying wish, 15-year-old Yuji Itadori is suddenly thrust into the world of Jujutsu sorcery when he eats the finger turned sacred relic of the most powerful curse in history. Realizing that he could withstand the curse, he sets off to find the rest of the fingers and along the way makes some good friends, meets some strong people, and does his best to save as many people as he can. Taking direct inspiration from other big weekly shonen jump titles such as Hunter x Hunter, Naruto, and Bleach, one could just write this off as just one other generic shonen. It's so much more than that. In fact, it goes to great lengths to differentiate itself from the crowd and is easily one of, if not the best, title in Jump right now. So what I want to talk about is what JJK does right in order to gain that title. We'll be going over several key points in this video and we'll make it sprint ahead of the crowd. That this video is highly based in subjectivity and it will be going over what has been covered in the manga up to the current chapter of 146. So, spoiler warning. So without further ado, let's get right into it, starting off with the anime itself. One of the things that sticks out about the anime itself is just how well done it is. MAPPA, the studio behind Attack on Titan Season 4, God of High School, and Zanki no Terror, and many others, is no stranger to well-directed anime and well-animated shows. And JJK is no exception. The colors are vibrant and they just seem to pop out at the screen. The art style plays well with the top-tier animation. The animation, which is important in a battle anime such as Jujutsu Kaisen, is just simply amazing. Looking at the fight, it's clear that MAPPA certainly brought the A-team here. All the characters' movements look clean and fluid, there's very few wasted frames, everything just looks so good here, and rarely does a character go off-model. Special mention goes to Maito's domain expansion. All the complex movements and all the hand drawings that was all done by hand, just mind-blowing. Considering that many people thought it was CG at first, which actually made the director a little bit upset, just speaks to how well done the show. Some other great animation moments include Gojo and his fights versus Jogo and Sukuna, Maki and Miwa's fight, which was animated by a 17-year-old, which shows the talent that is out there in the anime industry. Yuji and Todo vs. Hanami, which reminded me so much of Naruto and Sasuke vs. Momoshiki. All the black flashes that happen, and many others. Seriously, just from a visual standpoint, Jujutsu Kaisen is already in the upper echelons of what looks good. I could just talk for hours about the visuals, so I'll just stop myself here and move into another important part of Shonen action series, the power scaling and the power systems.
10秒だ。10秒経ったら戻っておいで。でも、大丈夫。僕最強だから。
In an action show with as many crazy powers and strong people as Jujutsu Kaisen, it's very important that it sets a good scale of power. This is something it does very well. It does this first by very early on establishing Gojo as the strongest and showing off his power early. The reason that this is important is that no matter what powerful character is introduced, there will always be Gojo at the very top. And while he does have a potential rival in Sukuna, we can at least be assured that Jujutsu Kaisen will avoid one of Shonen battle manga's biggest pitfalls. That being having to introduce new, much stronger characters seemingly out of nowhere. This happened in Naruto with Madara and Hashirama being much stronger than everyone, despite being told they were around the 3rd Hokage's level. Bleach with the Stern Ritter being much stronger than everything. Happens in Dragon Ball Z. Something that happens in a lot of shonen manga, and Jujutsu Kaisen is able to weave its way out of. The way that this is done very well is with the in-universe power scale 4th through special grade. This metric gives us a good approximation of how strong the characters are. It also gives us a good idea of how well characters progress in strength. For example, at the beginning, Megumin was a grade 2 and got smacked around by a special grade. Towards the end of the first season, however, he was able to take out a special grade by himself, and we get a good frame of reference for how far he's come along. So how Yuji, who had tough times against some weaker curses in the beginning, was able to take on Maito, a scale-breaking special grade, and also take out other special grades totally alone. Problem does arise from this scale though, that being, what happens when more special grade sorcerers and more special grade curses come in? Won't they break the scale and render the whole thing useless? This is actually fixed by a few lines from Gojo himself. At some point during the show, he gives us the line, the new generation won't be limited to special grade, and that he wholeheartedly expects several people in Jujutsu Tech to surpass him in strength very soon. So this gives us a reasonable expectation that the scale will have to be revised at some point during the series. At least we know there will be a lot more powerful people that will just come. Well, it won't be totally out of nowhere because we already know that much more strength is coming. And with the revelation that there are 1,000-year-old curses who rival Takuna, Yuta and Hikari entering the fray very soon, and the assumption that Hokkaido is teeming with absolute beasts, these quotes will definitely come to fruition soon. Having a good power scale, setting up a strong character very early on, and letting us know that the power scale will be overturned in the future is one thing that helps set Jujutsu Kaisen apart from other shonens.
こんなもんかな。残念、聞かないよ。魂の形を保って。
今まで俺の口から出た言葉は全て嘘だったんじゃないかと思えるくらい腹の底から出た本音。ぶっ殺してやる。
Probably one of the biggest things that helps set Jujutsu Kaisen apart from the rest is the main character itself, Yuji Itadori. Yuji has some impressive development in the short time that the series has been serialized and the in-universe time. In-universe, at most, from chapter 1 to 146, it's only taken about 5 months. And in that time, Yuji has had to grow up and mature extremely fast. At the start, he's just a happy-go-lucky kid that just wants to pal around with his friends and have a normal high school life. But he ends up getting mixed up in the world of Jujutsu sorcery, and now, especially during and after Shibuya, he seems to have an air of, please kill me, I've done nothing right. While rushed development like this can hurt some characters by making it just seem forced for some sympathy, Yuji's development does seem to come naturally. One of the ways this felt natural is the amount of death that surrounds him. At the start, he pretty much watched his grandfather die alone, and told Yuji not to make the same mistakes and to help people. This moment is what sets his character. His grandfather telling him to save people is what drives Yuji as a sorcerer. As what Maito said, Yuji saved people without a second thought. Him just being a good person gives him more room to grow. So instead of being just a blank slate, we actually see him be a genuine human being. And as he saw the deaths of several important people in his life, namely Junpei and Nanami, this only furthered his resolve in spite of having his spirit broken. And watching these deaths unfold also gives him another sort of resolve, one that is not totally common in a Shonen Jump protag, but also somewhat rare to see. He actually sets his sights on someone with the sole intent of killing them. During both his fights with Maito, Yuji's spirit was broken by the curse. Seeing Maito kill Junpei and Nanami makes Yuji express his killing intent and straight up says that he will kill Maito multiple times. He tells him that it doesn't matter when, where, even 100 years from now, he wants to kill him. Usually this is where the main character will say something like, I just want to beat you, or in Deku's case, I want to save you, despite the villain doing terrible things. Yuji expressing a resolve to kill is what helps set him apart from other Shonen Jump main characters. This resolve is also made a bit more apparent when you realize that Yuji has killed humans before. Even though they were transfigured humans and the death painting was SO, they were still born human, had human emotions, and most importantly, were still alive. Not many Jump protabs have had that type of blood on their hands. This is something that sets Yuji apart from the crowd. Even characters such as Luffy and Naruto and Deku, they have not had that type of blood on their hands. So, with Yuji expressing his killing intent and actually knowing the value of taking another life is what's helped set him apart and makes Jujutsu Kaisen better than the rest. And one more thing about Yuji. You cannot mention Yuji without mentioning the being that lives inside him, the king of curses and the potential final boss of the series, Ryomen Sukuna.
しかし、虎杖君の内には触れてはいけないものがある。言ったはずだぞ。二度はないと。
After Yuji swallows Sukuna's finger, Sukuna takes up residence inside Yuji. This leads to Yuji being marked for execution, but thanks to Gojo bullying the higher-ups, he's allowed to live. Now, a powerful being that lives inside the main character, definitely seen this before in many anime and manga. It's definitely nothing new. Naruto done it, Bleach, and My Hero to some extent. The list go on for a while. However, Sukuna is definitely different than most of them. Rather than trying to help, Sukuna is more interesting by actively plotting to make everything worse for Yuji. He has a nefarious plan through Megumi, tells Yuji straight to his face that it is his fault people are dying, laughs at him about Junpei. All Sukuna wants to do is break Yuji. And during Shibuya, when he vaporizes the whole city, it seems to work. This causes Yuji to break down, cry, and beg for death. And having an actively hostile companion is a great subversion of such a common trope in anime and manga. And this is not even to mention how strong he is. While Gojo might be the strongest one now, we've yet to see both him and Sukuna go full power. Even at most 75% strength, he toys with special grades as if they're just fodder villains. Remember, he was the strongest during the golden age of curses. This is supposedly when special grade now may as well have been a grade 2 or 3. Him being at full power would definitely be a scary sight to see, and it would be interesting to see him go up against Gojo in the future, because this is definitely a matchup that is bound to happen. Picture prime Michael Jordan versus prime LeBron James. Regardless of who you think is better, that would just be a crazy matchup to see. A villain that lived inside the main character, offers no help, and has the potential to upend the established power scale in the series. Just another great way Jujutsu Kaisen is able to set itself apart from everything else. A couple of quick things I want to mention. Some other things I love about Jujutsu Kaisen. I think the show is funny, it has some great dialogue, the characters play well off each other, and it's great to see how the story is progressing in such a short amount of time. Another thing I like, despite having a huge cast of female characters, there's not really any fan service in the show. I'm not opposed to that in most shows. In Jujutsu Kaisen, it would really just take away from the experience. So great that is being left out so that the creator can focus on the story more than just drawing another scantily clad woman. So it's a plus for the series. So to sum it all up, Jujutsu Kaisen is a rare series that just seems to do everything right. There isn't much to complain about, and I'm sure that anyone who watches it or reads it could have a good time. With all that's previously mentioned and a lot more that I haven't gone over, it's reasonable to think that Jujutsu Kaisen has a shot at being in some all-time great lists in the future. In its short serialization, it's done a lot to differentiate itself than most series do with double the time, and Jujutsu Kaisen has done it so well. So, new king of Shonen right now, still needs to catch Demon Slayer's numbers, One Piece is still in serialization, Black Clover is still going on, so it does have a way to go. But with enough time, and if it keeps up the quality that it has, I truly think that it will be one of those series that just stands above the rest. So let me know what you think. Do you agree, or think I'm full of crap? Comment down below. Think another show deserves your time?